Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast Shawn Does. I am Shawn that does the podcast, and this is my podcast. Thank you all for having patience with me and giving me the time to basically adjust to being a father. Well, adjust to a newborn. We have Jesse, but it's just adjusting to a newborn. That is a totally different beast within itself. Uh, you hear all the stories, you read all the books, you talk to all the people that have had kids. Until you do it, you'll never really understand the tiredness that comes with being a parent. The It's nonstop. So whenever people talk about stay-at-home moms, I would rather be working than being a stay-at-home mom. If I'm being very transparent with you, I'm being completely honest. I would prefer that because it's a non-stop job with kids. You're always doing something. So we have a 2-year-old, and she's 7 weeks. 2-year-old and a 7-week-old baby. So if you're not feeding Autumn, you got to worry about Jesse putting something in the fan. You got to worry about Autumn not spitting up on herself. You got to worry about Jesse jumping off the couch. There's always something to do. You're always going to find a task to basically keep active with kids. I guarantee you, there's never going to be a dull day. So when people say that they want kids, like kids are cute, just remember these kids grow up. Like these kids, they get personalities. They start realizing who they are. They come into their own. Like Jesse's starting to talk in sentences now. He's starting to be a little more vocal. Like he's at that stage where he's not really. He don't care what we're saying. Like he's gonna do what he wants. At night when we're brushing his teeth, this is an every night thing. It hasn't failed and since Autumn got home. We'll tell him, Jesse, it's time to go brush our teeth. Let's go brush our teeth. He'll run out of the restroom and he'll run straight to the couch. And it's a fight every night to get him to brush his teeth because he knows he's about to go to sleep. Unless he is super tired, he's not gonna want to brush his teeth because he knows what comes after brushing your teeth. He's gonna go straight to sleep after that. But he also does this thing where he he also does this thing where we'll brush his teeth fully and then he'll tell us he's hungry. So everything we just did, we're gonna have to do it up. Okay, truck. Everything that we just did, we're gonna have to do it over. So after he eats his chicken nuggets, we're gonna have to brush his teeth again, and then that's gonna be a longer process to put him down because now he has energy from the food. So it's a lot. It's a lot with this parenting stuff, man. Y'all didn't really brief me on this, but I'm loving it. I am adjusting well. I feel like I'm doing my part as a parent because everyone sees Jesse, how he acts around others, his manners. He always says thank you and please. He's very mannerable for his age. For a 2-year-old, he is very mannerable, and I already see the leader traits in him. So I'm not really too worried about Jesse because I feel like he's gonna be the one leading the pack. He's not gonna be following. I already see it in his eyes. Jesse, as a vibe, he does his own thing. So I love that boy to death. I couldn't be more proud of him. But I don't know how I got on this tangent about my kids at the 4-minute mark. I was just waiting to hit that 4-minute mark so I could say it. I don't know how I got into a tangent on my kids, but if you haven't realized it yet, but the podcast Shawn Does is basically a podcast about fathering. I think I made that clear in episode 0, but this is basically a podcast about being a father and how men adjust to parenting. Because you really don't see any podcasts about parenting for men. You really never see that. So I thought it would be a cool concept to do that instead of the usual sports podcast, the usual true crimes podcast. Let me not joke about true crimes podcast because that's Amanda's shit. So let me not do that. She's Scorpio to death. Love you, baby. But I just thought it would be cool to have a podcast just for the fathers who actually take this shit seriously. So this is what that's going to be. And eventually, I will branch off into another podcast and have like a podcast Shawn does, like unfiltered, or just something where we talk about things other than fatherhood, but it'll still be based on parenting, and it can be sports. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm still working on the concept in my head. I think of all this stuff, and then it just sits in my head, or I'll write it down, and then it's just there. I'm just looking at it. But I need to just start getting to those goals. But for now, we'll do the podcast Shawn does, because I feel like this will be a hit. Not to sound cocky or anything, but going on now to talk about the whole process with my daughter, bringing her into this world. It was a wild process, because all of us thought, if you listen to me in episode 0, if you haven't listened to episode 0, go back and you'll hear the difference. We're about, I want to say 2 months removed from episode 0. So that episode was before Autumn got here, my daughter. That episode is before she got here into this world. It was a few days or like a week before she got here. So my mindset on that one is totally different from what it is now. So in that one, I talked about just being prepared, how I was feeling towards it, and you just got to go back and listen to it. I'm not going to give you the brief you on all this shit. You just go back and listen to it. So Autumn was supposed to be here June 12th. We didn't see Autumn until June 15th. Amanda did everything she could to get her out. She drank drinks, did all that fun stuff. She bounced on the little bouncy ball, and like dudes know, like that little bouncy ball. Yeah, that's the one. But back on the serious subject. So she did the bouncy ball. She did everything she could to get Autumn out. So they had to, basically we had to schedule it and induce labor. And the night that we were supposed to go, they called and said, I'm sorry, there's a bunch of mothers that have come in and they're in active labor right now. So there are like 5 moms, I'm guessing, like just came in at the same time. So they said, we're going to have to reschedule. So they told us, just be by your phone and we'll call you guys whenever we're ready. Okay. So Amanda wasn't ready yet. She was, I want to say 3 centimeters dilated. I think she was 3. So she had been that for about a week, and nothing changed. So we were home, and Amanda's mom was watching Jesse. So Amanda's mom, she watched Jesse through the whole thing. That night that we went to the hospital, it was weird because we had just sat down. We were eating our food. We were watching like the Wu-Tang Clan documentary on Netflix. That little mini series they got is, I recommend to watch that. If you don't know that story, you need to go watch that. But we were watching that, and then we get a call saying, hey, there's a spot that is open, so you guys could come in. This was probably about 10:30, so we were like, all right, bet. So we were already prepared, because we just had this weird feeling, like once we started cuddling up and doing all the cute couple stuff, that somebody was going to call, and then it was going to be time to go. So we get that call. Our bags are already packed. They were right there by the door. So we put our clothes on, brush our teeth, do our hair and all that, and we get going. So we get there about 12. Get there about 12, get Amanda checked in, meet the doctor, or meet the people that are going to be with us. And we were there from 12 to, I want to say 8. Amanda started, no, about 4, she started feeling contractions. And it was just weird how it happened, because right when we get there, she starts getting the contractions. And I feel like Autumn planned this out perfectly, and I love my baby to death for it, because we were already there. My biggest fear, I think I said it in the episode 0, my biggest fear was I was going to be at work. I work about 30 minutes away, and Amanda was going to call and say, hey, my water just broke, so I'm going to have to scurry on home, pick her up, and then the hospital's another 30 minutes away, so that's an hour right there. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna be the one delivering Autumn. But me being me, I was like, look, I'll watch the video. I see how they catch them. So I'll be straight. I can do it. You know, it's fine. But it didn't have to get to that. So Autumn, we started feeling the contractions probably about 5 o'clock, and I want to say about 1:30 in the afternoon, Amanda started pushing, and that if you've never been in there for childbirth, I don't know if it was just because it was so quick with Amanda, because Amanda, like, whenever the nurse came in and looked at Amanda, and she said, "Oh, we don't think she's gonna make it any longer. Let me go get the doctor." So doctor comes in. She's like, "Yeah, we got to do this now." So Autumn's head, I literally looked at Amanda, and Autumn's head was right there. Amanda was basically sitting on Autumn's head. So I just see a bunch of hair. And I'm like, okay, well, my baby has a lot of hair. And I was like, I know that's not your hair. I know it's my baby. So it's just jet black hair. That's all I see. And I'm holding Amanda's hand. She was a soldier through all of that. Man, like, I'll get to it. That is just the wildest, it was the wildest thing I've ever seen. Like, I will never unsee that in my head. It was never a gross thing, but it was just amazing to see my daughter being brought into this earth, or brought into this world. So Amanda pushes, and it took a few pushes, and Autumn was here. She was that close. Like, she was right there. Like, Amanda was like, look, I'm getting her out. Amanda had been saying that for a good 2 weeks. Amanda was so ready to get her out. She was like, I love being pregnant, but I am tired of being pregnant. So it took her about not even 5, 6. Our doctor, this is how quick it was. Our doctor walked in there, put on everything she needed, got right there at the edge of the bed. They pushed. She told Amanda to push, got Autumn out, sewed Amanda up, and was gone within, like, I want to say 20 minutes. We only saw our doctor for like 20 minutes, and then we were holding our baby. So Amanda pushes her out, and Amanda pushes her out. Where am I going with this story? Amanda pushes her out, and it was no longer than a 30-minute process with all that, and then we had our daughter. So our daughter comes out. She weighs 8 pounds, 13 ounces, and she was 21 inches long when she came out. I don't know how Amanda pushed this girl out, like, with ease, but she pushed her out, like, quick. And then Amanda, she had this thing to where she didn't even seem like she just gave birth. Like, Amanda was chill. She was cooler than I was. She still does not recognize, like, you just gave birth to this big ass baby. Like, my daughter is a little chunky monkey. Like, that's what her grandmother calls her. She's the chunky little girl. Like, she's big. She was big when she came out. And she just had this, I don't know, like, Amanda doesn't, I don't know if it registered in her head how big our daughter was, but you really pushed her out. Like, I gave her so many kisses and congrats and told her she did such a great job bringing her out. And yeah, like, that was wild. If you've never seen a childbirth, I don't even know how to describe, like, the feeling when you see your daughter come out. Like, if it's vaginal, like, I don't know if I could describe the feeling of seeing that. That is the greatest feeling I've ever felt. I've never felt that just comfort and love. I didn't know this baby. This is my daughter. Like, I didn't know her. It was just right when I picked her up and touched her, I was like, man, I really am a dad. That is crazy. So her breathing. So to fast forward the story, because I'm kind of rambling, because that was just an amazing time. So later on that night, they noticed Autumn's breathing, and Autumn's breathing really fast, and she doesn't her heartbeat's not slowing down. So they take her to the nursery, and this is when I realized that this girl has me wrapped around her finger already. Like I'm not like I'm gonna be that dad. So Amanda was in the room. Like I made sure like Amanda was good. She was eating. I think I went and got her Whataburger at Wendy's or something. Whatever she wanted, I went and got it. So she was in the room, and I went to the nursery to just check on Autumn, and I was back and forth that whole night, and they just kept telling me like Autumn's breathing isn't slowing down, and that was a concern to them. And they didn't know why it was, but they said if it doesn't slow down by the morning, we're gonna have to take her to the NICU. And I was like, okay. So me being me, I didn't want her in the NICU. Like I don't want my baby tied up in those machines. I don't know what those doctors are doing. Like I don't know if they're actually watching my baby. Y'all have like 12 babies in there. How do I know you're just watching my baby? So for me to combat that, I was there. I didn't like I would go check on Amanda. I'd be right back. Like I would sleep for a little bit and I'd be right back checking on my child. So whenever they took her, they left. They took her from the nursery in the morning because her heartbeat, her breathing didn't stop. So if you notice, I'm not gonna edit this a lot. Like if I ramble, I just ramble. So you just gotta listen. This is me talking. This is me in real life too. So if you know me, you know this is just me. So they picked her up and took her to the NICU. I was there watching them do the whole process. And when they told me she was going to the NICU, tears straight from my eyes. They just came falling from my face. Like I couldn't hold it in. And I was like, I don't want my baby hooked up in that. Like I don't know what they're going to be doing. Like I got to watch because me being black in America, like I don't really trust hospitals. I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. So I don't know what y'all are giving my baby. Y'all can say y'all are doing these procedures, but I'm like, I don't know what this means. Like y'all went to school for all this shit. Like I don't know what y'all are doing to my child. And they took her to the NICU. They hooked her up to all the monitors, and they monitor her. And I'm there. We stayed in the hospital for another 2 days. And I was there every day checking on my baby. And then that third day, they give us the birth certificate, and I sign and just getting my parental rights or whatever that was. I signed. Look, I gotta stop signing shit, and I don't know what it is. This is why I would never make it in music. I had to sign my own stuff or sign myself because I can't. Like I need to just read through everything. Because I was really just signing stuff. I know it was a parental rights thing, but I could have read that a little bit more. But that third day, they were telling us we're getting discharged. So we tried to stay because there's something where if your child is in the NICU, they can get you another room. You just won't be in the, what is it, post-op room. I'm thinking that's what it's called. So you're going to be in just another room. But they didn't have any extra rooms due to all of those moms that came in, like the 5 moms the 2 days before we got there. So we had to go home. And that was a sombering time because neither of us wanted to leave. So what happened was we got our stuff packed. We stayed in there with Autumn for like hours until it was nighttime. And then Amanda, we hadn't seen Jesse in a while. Like we hadn't seen Jesse since a day or two before. And his grandmother brought him, and he was just wearing this like I'm a big brother shirt. Like I'm gonna tear up talking about it now. So let me just get to it. But he was wearing his big brother shirt. He saw his sister, and it was, I don't know, it just felt full circle. Like my family is here. It's complete. But we hadn't seen him in a while, and I can tell Amanda, she has never been away from Jesse she's never been away from him. Now that I'm thinking about it, she's never been away from him. She hates going to work because she can't be with Jesse. And I could say, from my perspective too, like I've never been away from Jesse. We, so I came in his life, he was 7 months when I met Jesse? And every night, like me and Amanda didn't live together, but every night, like I would get off of work, I would shower, and I would come over and we would eat dinner, and I would just watch Jesse. Like I would just watch him sleep. Some nights he would wake up and I'd pick him up, but most of the nights he'd be sleeping. I just watch him, and I just fell in love with him. And it was a cool moment to see him like now with a child that, like, I consider him my child. I don't use the stepfather. I consider him my son. Like, he has his father, but like I can still consider him my son. Like, I've been here every day of his life that I've known him. Like, since he was 7 months. He's about to be 3 in October. So I know he looks up to me. It was just great to see like how good of a big brother he was, because right when Jesse walked in, this boy knows how to command a room, because right when he walked in, the nurses were checking on Autumn. This was before the nursery and everything. This was right the day that we had Autumn. So right when he comes in, he's looking for his sister. He's like, "Where's sister?" So he's not worried about me. He's not worried about Amanda. Nothing. He's trying to find his sister. So I pick him up and show him his sister. And the first thing he does is, "Hi, sister," and he gives her a kiss. So he kisses her right on the cheek. And he's like, "That's my sister." And then he just starts smiling and telling everybody that's his sister. And Amanda's mom, she busts out crying. She's very emotional. And it's not a bad thing, but like, she's very emotional. So like stuff like that gets to her. And then her grandkids too, like knowing the whole story. Like me and Amanda got a long history. I'll cover that later on in the podcast venture. But we got a long history. So her mom being there, I think it hit her like, yeah, y'all really have a child. And my grandson is really a big brother now. So it was just a lot. And she walked in with him, and they just held Autumn in the corner. Like, they checked on her, just held her in the corner. And it was just a great feeling. So me and Amanda ate, because we were with her that whole time. So we haven't eaten all day. So we ate the like complimentary meals they get. I think Amanda had like a cordon bleu or something, and I had a salmon. You know, I'm not going to stray too far from what I know. So I was like, look, what do I know on this menu? Do they got chicken fingers? What do they got? Let me see. They got a burger, what? So I just got the salmon, because I know what that is. I got that with, I think it was like a banana pudding or something. It was great. And then they gave you like a ginger ale, and I was like, man, this is the greatest ginger ale I've ever had. I was just thirsty because we didn't eat most of that day. So it was great. I can't stress that enough. If you've had a kid, or you've been the man like there while your wife or girlfriend is having a kid, you know that whenever they bring that food, it's different. Like the food is different because you haven't eaten all day. You probably haven't drinking. You've just been so worried about your child. So, and then most of the time, whenever you're worried about your child, you forget to eat or drink. As weird as it is, like I've been, like me and Amanda both, like we've been chasing Jesse around so much, or chasing Autumn around so much, that it hits like 1 o'clock and we're like, damn, we haven't even eaten yet. So that's a real thing. When the parent tells you that, they are really serious. And back to my point. I'm just rambling. Sorry. I just love this story. Back to my point. So Jesse and his grandmother were in the corner. Also, her stepfather was in the corner too. I never give him credit. That's my guy though. Shout out Jerry. But like they were all in the corner just checking in on Autumn, and it's gonna be a theme in this that I never hold my daughter. Like, you'll see why. So they were the first ones there. That didn't surprise me that they were the first ones there, because Amanda and her mom are very close. And I knew right when they said it was time, like, she would be there. So she came in, and then after that, I want to say her brother and her sister-in-law came in, and they saw Autumn, and they held Autumn, took the pictures and everything. And then I want to say Ashley, her little sister, came in and saw Autumn, or reverse, one or the other. It doesn't really matter the order. So they all came in and saw her, and then my mom, sister, and dad came in, and they all saw Autumn. So a bunch of people saw her, and it was just great, like, just to have everybody there the first day and just seeing Autumn, because everyone was waiting for her arrival. Autumn, we had to wait 3 extra days for her, but it was worth it. She was in there gaining more weight. It's fine. I get it. I understand. You don't really want to be in this wild world. She probably heard her brother, how much we tell him to stop stomping, or tell him to relax. She probably heard all that and was like, "Man, do I really want to be out there right now? Like, if I can afford to be in here a few more days, I'm gonna do it." So she wasn't trying to exit the womb. And no, it's just a great thing to finally have my child here. I'm just gonna skip forward to because I feel like I'm tired. I got about 2 hours of sleep and I had to go to work at 3 in the morning. So I'm tired. I know I'm rambling, but hey, I had to get this because Amanda's gone with the kids and I never have the time to do it. So I'm like, this is the perfect time, and it's about 7 weeks out from actually having her, so it's a total difference. And the bringing her home process. So back to her being in the NICU. So Autumn was in the NICU for 4 days, and we were in the hospital 2 of those 4 days. So, oh, that's where I was at. So Amanda missed Jesse, like we both did, because we've never been away from him. And right when they discharged us, we went with Autumn for a few more hours. And I told Amanda, look, I'll take you home so you can go see Jesse, or so we can go see him, and then I'll come back up for the night. And so we were like, okay, that's the plan. So I took her home. We sat down with Jesse for a bit. She put him to sleep. And then while she was putting him to sleep, I got some snacks and I just went back to the hospital. I was up there with her. I would stay up there about 2 hours at a time. Like I would be in the NICU for like 2 hours. I would go take like a 15, 20-minute nap in the car and I'll be right back up there. Because at night, it's like one nurse. It was one nurse there. So they were like super understaffed. And I'm like, nah, I don't know what y'all are doing with my child. And I know I had my first like father moment because for one, I saw that my baby had a huge rash. When we changed her, we noticed that she had a huge rash, and we were asking like what it's from, and they were saying that it's from the antibiotics that she was getting, and which now I know that could be the case. I still don't feel like it was because I would come in and her diaper would just be wet, and I'm like, how long was my baby sitting here like this? So I would make it a point to change it myself. Like I don't know how long my baby's been sitting like this because y'all can't give full attention to every child. So I'll give full attention to my child. You do what you need to do. I'm gonna watch my baby over here. So I came in, noticed that, and then I also noticed that she was she was like snuggled up, which that's fine, but she had in a pacifier, and I noticed that at that hospital. I'm not gonna say where it was, but at that hospital, they would give the pacifier. Maybe it's a thing. Like I'm not gonna say I went to school for this. Maybe they know more than I do, so I'll give them that. Like I don't know why, but they had a pacifier, and then they had to covering the pacifier, and it was too tight to where if Autumn was, let's say she started choking, or let's say she spit up, she wouldn't be able to spit out that pacifier. Like it would just be sitting there, and then everything would just be lodged in her, and then that's a choking hazard. So I brought it up to the nurse, and the nurse like checked it. She did exactly what I did. Like I checked how tight it was, and then Autumn, like I tried to pull out the pacifier and show her, and she was like, "You can't. I can't pick this up. So how is she gonna be able to spit it out?" And she's like, "Oh, it's okay." And she did the exact same thing I did, and realized like it's too tight, and then tried to save face by saying that that's how that's standard. So I'm like, all right, bet. Well, it's not standard for me. So I moved the cover down a little bit, and just sat there and watched her for like another 3 hours, and then like morning comes and I'm still there. And then shift change, so I go home, and I want to say Amanda's mom went up there, and then my mom that next day. So we just had a rotating schedule where somebody was there all the time. And I don't know, being in the NICU kind of just like it's wild because you see like how small some of the babies are, like some of the premature babies. There was a baby next to us that was like barely a pound, and we were talking to the family, and they're saying, "Yeah, he's been in here for about 3 weeks." And I'm like, man, I couldn't even imagine. Like I teared up for them. I don't know. I've just been very emotional, y'all. Like I was already an emotional person, but just having a daughter just gets you a little bit more emotional. It's hard to describe, but they're saying, "Yeah, I've been in here since he's been in here for about 3 weeks." It's like, man, I could not imagine. There's some kids that have been in there for like months. And so, to figure out what happened with this is me hopping around again. You'll get used to it. So, to get back to what was wrong with Autumn and why her breathing was like that, Autumn's clavicle was broken. Or she was fractured. It was fractured. Autumn's left clavicle was fractured. And if you look at every picture that we took with Autumn, all of us held her on the right side and we didn't touch her left. It's weird how just we had that sense that something was wrong because she would cry like deep, deep tears, and we never knew what was wrong. And then they took an X-ray and realized that her left clavicle was fractured, and that's pretty standard. Like if you know the stories of like bigger babies, like getting them out, sometimes they have to get them out like that. But you just got to look it up because I can't tell you what happened, but you just look it up. It's a very common thing. But her left clavicle was fractured, and they were saying like it's nothing to worry about. She'll be recovered in 2 weeks. So Autumn gets discharged. My mom calls me. It was you'll never guess the day, but my mom was up there with Autumn, and we were eating. Like I was eating with Amanda's her mom and her stepdad. We went to go eat breakfast, or we went to go eat lunch. And I get a call saying that Autumn's going to be discharged. Like they said that Autumn's going to be able to go home today. And I'm like, okay, this is the perfect day. So we get there and we have to watch a course about the baby CPR or something. So I'm certified in that. So if I see a baby that needs CPR, I'm ready. Like I'm ready to go. So your baby is safe around me. But they make us watch a course on that and just basically awareness of your child, what not to do, the do's and don'ts, just standard stuff. So we pick up our daughter and I'm like thinking about it, tearing up. We pick up our daughter and it was Father's Day when she came home. So I never think there's going to be a Father's Day that'll top that Father's Day. Because I got to bring my daughter home that day, and it was amazing. So now, after all of that, 7 weeks later, I could say that I'm slowly getting the hang of it. Amanda does most of the night work with her. She does most of the work with her because like usually I'm at work or I'm trying to calm Jessie down. So I'll obviously be there with my child. Like we take turns with her. Like I'm a very present father. Like I know I do a lot of different things to help Amanda out. Like I'll do the dishes, I'll clean bottles, I'll clean the breast pump, I'll clean the kitchen when she can't do it because usually she likes to do that 'cause she's like very particular on that. So I'll clean the kitchen, I'll cook. Like I'll just do things to help her out because I know she's going to be with her. So I'll do things to kind of ease the load on her, ease the levels of what she has to do whenever Autumn goes to sleep because I know she's super tired because not only are you dealing with Autumn like throughout the night because I go to work so early, so I'm out of here by like 2:30. So not only are you dealing with Autumn at night, you still got to worry about if Jessie's going to wake up. And then Jessie's been waking up at like 6:30. And then Autumn doesn't go to sleep like fully until about 5. So Amanda gets like 2-3 hours of sleep a night. So whenever I get home, I try to let her sleep. But sometimes there's just so much to do, like she can't sleep. But she's adjusted well. Amanda's an excellent parent. She's great. I've learned a lot from her. Parenting is just you just got to have that patience. Like I know I'm doing something right because I watch how Jessie is, and I just know that something's going right because watching him, he's a great kid. Everybody loves to be around him. My nephew just had a party, and the kids Jessie was just dancing in front of the speaker, and there's a video where Jessie's dancing in front of the speaker, and the kids just followed Jessie. So I'm like, look, he's doing something right. And these kids are older than Jessie. Jessie's 2. They're both, I think, 3 and 4. So I'm like, Jesse's doing something right. Like he's going to be a little leader, and then just watching him be a big brother as well has been very amazing because he loves his sister. We can be putting him to sleep, either of us, me or Amanda. We can be in the room putting him to sleep, and he'll hear his sister cry, and he hops straight out of bed. It never fails. He'll hop straight out of bed and check on his sister. He'll say, "Why is sister crying?" And then he'll check on his sister. And then until she calms down, he's not going to bed. So when she calms down and she relaxes, that's when he'll say, "Okay, good night, sister." And then he'll go, and it's like, man, you are a little man. It's wild, but he loves his sister to death. Um, Thankfully, there are no complications with Autumn. Everything is went swell with her being home, but we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna leave this for another episode, episode 2. If there's like a weird jump in the audio, my bad. I don't know if the people next door are moving or what, but it was like a loud bang. And me being here alone, I didn't know what was going on, so I was about to go grab a knife, but nobody was in here, so thankfully. But as I was saying, on the next episode, I want to actually talk about what I've learned since Autumn got home and just the tips to give to dads that those first few weeks, because I've gone through it. I can now speak on it because it's something that I'm not an expert in, but it's something that I feel like I could help others with that are waiting on their child to be here. It's a journey. Like it's a great journey. I just know that I do anything for my child. I'm learning everything, reading all the books, just trying to get better at parenting. But parenting is a thing where you can read all the books in the world, but every book isn't going to be the same for every child. So you take what you can and you tweak it to what your child's needs are, what you think works for your child. Parenting is basically just trial and error. You're going to get it right eventually, but it's going to take you a while before you get it right. So I'm going to save that for the next episode. And it feels good to pod again. I only thought that I would hit about 20 minutes, but here we are at like the 30-minute mark or 37-minute mark, and we're still holding conversation. I can go another 30 minutes, but I haven't even talked about like getting back to work and how that's affected Jesse and just me in general. Cause the going back to work and me not being here every day like he got used to. Because I was out of work for a month, so he got used to me being here. So him getting used to me not being home again, it's a whole journey with kids. I love it to death. I love being a parent. I love everything that comes with it. I love knowing that there's somebody that looks up to you, so you always got to be on your toes. You always got to be on your best behavior. You're always teaching. They're watching everything you do, especially at this young age. They're watching everything you do. Jesse is so Jesse watches me so much that he clearly does not see race. Race is a thing that's taught, or racism is a thing that's taught in my eyes because Jesse doesn't see race at all. Jesse, I got him it's Noggin, the little Nickelodeon thing. So I got him that for his phone because Jesse has like a little old phone that we gave him that he plays on. He plays games on that. So I got him that, and his character is black. So I don't think Jesse understands. Like I don't think he gets race because I tried to switch his character and he was like, "No, keep it like that, like Dada." So I'm like, "Hey," like he clearly looks up to me. So it was just wild to see because I was like, maybe he didn't mean to do that. And I asked him, did he want to change it? He said no, he wanted to keep it like that. So I'm like, all right, bet. Well, shoot, you black like me then. But um, just all in all, I love this journey. I love this journey, this parenting journey, and it is just getting started because everything that we're doing with Jesse, I know we're going to have to double down and do it with Autumn again, but I am looking forward to it. Thank you guys for listening. I was seriously just trying to get to the 40 minute mark. So bye.